Hello friends, how are you? Hope all are well wherever you are. Welcome back to my channel, Ninja Programming. So far we have covered basic stuffs like from all the way from numbering to data types and strings and loops, while loops and for loops and all this stuff Now in this video we will learn about the files readings and writing I'm not going to going to details what is file and all this stuff you can find plenty of details on online if you do search Google what is file and stuff I'm just going to do a couple of examples how can you read the files I mean there's different types of file I mean if you in this lesson we will just going through example like a text file but in a real experience you go to the CSV files and zip file, mp3 files, and there's a lot of different types of file but majority are pretty much same how to read and write but some are the more complex these are the more advanced level but here is the sort of the character what does it mean so by default is reading even if you put this R if you don't put is by default is reading so his here is open for reading for the file and if you put the W which has been writing but if the file is exist it will delete the previous contents whatever was written in the file and if you put the X it will create the new ones, and if there's already the file that exists though the same name it will fail to create a new one. And if you put the A character which will be either you want to append which you can writings or you can adding more contents on it and if you want to open the binary mode which is the B characters, and if you want to open a text mode is a T and there's a plus sign as well which you can updating either reading or writing but the very important the whenever you open a file, make sure you close the file otherwise you'll be hanging on the buffer zone so in the memory. There's a couple of examples I've created so that you can follow in your real life scenario. And based on all the examples are the files are in the current directory, current working directory. I mean the same file that the Python file in the same directory, whereas my the reading my file the txt and this sample one.json file in the same directory so as you can see here example one where I just going to open a JSON file of the read mode so this open method open within the open method it takes arguments, which first argument is the name of the files and what mode you want to open. Is it a writing mode or open mode or read mode so it's open to read mode and so I'm just going to create another variable which is just put the fruits my file dot read, and it's printing all the contents whatever in the files and I'm closing the file. So if I run this you can see it will split out all the file contents so if you look at the real file it's in here. So these are the all contents it's printing in here so pretty much this way you can open a file for read mode and the second example which is in here I'm going to open a text file it was a JSON file or is it text. Now it's going to be a text file. It's the same I'm just opening on the read mode and I'm printing this variable my file dot read mode and then I'm closing again. So if I run this and you can see I'm just put some text we are learning Python basic. If you look at this this is the actual file so it's just going to the read mode in here, but I always close the file um, but another one which is like, if you open a file with a context, with the open, like, in that scenario, like, if anything happens, like, it will close automatically the file, like, even if you don't put the file, the close method, like, it will close automatically. So here, it's work like the same, like, try catch, and finally, um the way we put like a try catch, and finally, I haven't I didn't create any video yet, like, but we'll go through, like, how to do the try catch, all this stuff, like, so in this example, you can see I'm just opening the my same text file with the read mode as my file name. Just I put the as my file name, like, opening, and then um it's either way. You can do the one line, like a print my file dot read, or you can create another variables and printing that variable fruit in here, like, other way I will do, like, so if I do this, like, you can see it will print out all this stuff, like, in here, and I didn't put the my file dot close, like, it will close automatically, like, so there's another example you can follow. You can open the file like this, and there's a couple of more method, like, you can use, like, which is um let's see, I'm going through one by one. There I'm going to open, by default, as I said, like, by read mode, like, see, even if I don't put, like, um r, it by default is a read mode, like, so yeah, I'm opening the file, like, and here I'm just to read line. So if I do this, you can see that it will read only one line, so if I do like run the, you can see just only one line with this method read line. But if I put, like, the the read line 2, which will read only 2 character, like, so if I run this, then you can see only we, like, so it depends on how, whatever the number of arguments you'll pass, you'll read that many characters, like, so and if I run this file dot read lines, so that will put everything out, but as in the list, like, it will return as a list, like, so if I, so I'm just going to each an example, like, so here's created the list here all the way here, and so it's going to be each line as in list, like, it will return. So it depends on, like, in what scenario you are facing, and you can either use a read line, or if you pass the read line, the number of arguments, like, how many characters you want to read, or you want to return as a list, like, the all the file contents, like, this is how you can create, like, um so next one is with a while loop, like, I mean, which is, I like it, like, um so it will go through, like, from beginning to all the way end, like, so what I'm saying here, that I'm going through with opening the file, the read mode as my file, and I'm creating another variable line equal to my file dot read line. I'm reading each line, like, and what I'm saying, while line not equal to empty string, that's single code is means like empty string. If you don't, unless you find the empty string, you keep printing like a line, you know and the read line. So this is a way, like, you can read from beginning all the way end, like, and the special character is, like, the empty string. The moment it will find the empty string, it will stop, like, so in this way, like, if I run this, you can see that it will go from beginning all the way end, like, and the moment you will find no more string here, like an empty string, it will stop reading, like, it will stop the while loop will stop, like, so this is another way you can use the while loop, like, reading the file. And the most recommended one is, like, using the for loop, like, um with this more simplified. You're opening the file, the same file, the reading my file .txt read mode as my file, and for line in my file, this file in my file read lines, and printing, like, print this line, print line, and finding the end of the, if you find the empty string, you end, like, so if I run these, it's the same, like, the same like walk a while loop, but this is a more kind of efficient and more memory efficient, like, but a more simplified way, like, you can with the for loop with the one line, opening the file as in read mode, and for line in my file, this for line in my file print line, and find, once you find the end of the string, you finish, like, so these are kind of reading, like, a file, like, you can follow one of the example, any of the example, but most recommended one, either this one or that one, like, so I hope you will find helpful, like, in your real life. And please do subscribe my channels, and hope we'll see you next video for writing, how to write the files. Thanks, bye bye.